Welcome to the Take a Listing Today podcast, where our hosts Jim Studebaker and Todd Robertson give you strategies to get you out of the office right now so you can take a new listing today. And now, here's Jim and Todd.
Welcome once again to Take a Listing Today podcast. Welcome. It's podcast number 42, and we are still practicing our social distancing. Hopefully everybody is staying safe out there. I'm Jim Studebaker, and somewhere out there is Todd Robertson. Are you there?
Todd Robertson in a remote location in the great state of Florida.
Excellent. And we also saw Lisa Gray, our producer. Hello, Lisa.
Hi.
Lisa Gray in the house.
All right. So we are doing this remotely once again, but the content is still just as great. Maybe the scenery is not, but that's okay, because we're going to be talking about how to not make mistakes with your market reports. Market reports might be known in some areas as a neighborhood update or maybe even a CMA, but market reports, something that has stats and information on a market, on a house, and even people who aren't thinking of buying or selling a home in the near future will enjoy reading a well-written real estate market report. So if you aren't using these reports in your marketing efforts, you're missing out on a prime opportunity to show your area expertise. And especially now where you can't go into people's houses and shake their hands right now and explain everything, it's got to be really concise. So,
and what I like about what you said, Jim, is the great thing is, especially right now with everything going on, it's a great way that agents can give, inform. So when the time is right, it's like, wow, I respect you and I trust you. You're my agent.
That's right. So you've got to go above and beyond. It's not going to be enough to just slap an MLS graph into a report and call it a day. Let's have this example.
Well, and if you think about it, this is the first impression you're giving your potential client. This is really showing who you are as an expert. So how this is delivered, how this looks, how easy it is to understand. I mean, this is representing you. So it's so important it's done right. That's why we wanted to do this show about this today.
Great point. Think of a medical report that you've read from a doctor. Have you ever scratched your head when you've read one of those things? Well, if you have, then you know how some market reports look to an average consumer. So it's up to you to put your reports in a form that's easily understandable and to explain what it means. So let's start with what not to do. We'll start there, and then we're going to get to what they should do. Right, Lisa?
Yes.
Okay, good. So, number one, tackling real estate jargon. Don't assume that consumers understand the real estate lingo. A good example is the following statement. Should I do this in an accent, Lisa?
Yes.
Okay. The pending ratio indicates the supply and demand of the market.
You sounded like an economist or a Harvard professor there. That was very good.
Well, I've had to listen to a lot of economists on TV now, telling us, is the economy going up, down, when's it going to turn around, whatever.
Yeah.
So, while the statement might be true, the agent writing it assumes that the average reader understands what he or she means by pending. Pending what? Most consumers don't understand this MLS technology, so each and every report should clearly, what?
Terminology, not technology, terminology.
Terminology?
Yes.
Okay. Well, maybe I do need some readers, Todd. You asked me about that earlier.
Yeah, I've got a few extra ones.
All right, thank you.
Yes.
Yeah.
As you were going through this,
the terminology. Thank you.
It just hit me like a ton of bricks as you're going through this, because it's very easy for a professional in their industry, in this case real estate, to talk in their industry words. Where just like we talk in our production meeting, unless you're an investor, this is most people's biggest investment in their life. So like Floyd Whitman used to say, what's the most popular radio station in the world, right? WIIFM. Mm-hmm. What's in it for me? So we're going to be sharing, right? Or hopefully our realtors that are tuning in right now, watching, listening, will be able to regurgitate it back in a way that's better for them, that's simplistic, that's in their terms. Not like, oh, I'm way above here and right? So I wanted to add that in. That's a great point you make, Jim.
Right. So Lisa has rewritten this so it's much easier. And I'll try to use a different accent. When a seller accepts an offer on a home, the listing agent changes its status in the MLS from active to pending, meaning the home has an offer, but it hasn't closed yet.
Correct.
Right?
Yeah. Much
All right.
easier to understand. Much easier to understand.
Now, here's another thing.
You've now kept your home seller engaged. At this point, they're still engaged. They get it. They're still reading your report. Let's keep going.
Well, and this is the point right here where they need their hand held the most all the way to get them to the finish line. And it's where a lot of agents just get sloppy and turn them over to some admin. No, you've got to be with them. I mean, they've connected with you, with your mind, with your soul. You're the realtor. You can have your admin help you, but you got to help them to the finish line when that pending happens. A lot of people just disappear and go get new business.
Yeah, here's another great confusing term. Absorption rate. Now, when I first got in the business years ago, I thought we were doing testing on paper towels. But it's not that. So if you can believe this, a brokerage in Las Vegas offered an email with a monthly absorption report, and somebody actually thought that was a soil report on how well water is getting into the soil out there.
You made me think of a Jim, you mentioned when you were in real estate. Yeah, I had the same challenge in Bakersfield, California. When I first got in, I had a lot of enthusiasm, and they were talking about a closing. I thought the closing was at 8 o'clock at night when you had to lock the door and go home. You know, I didn't, that's when you got paid, you know?
Exactly. How about another term? Inventory.
Ooh.
Like inventory of available homes or inventory of homes for sale. Not very clear. Now, Long & Foster, a great company up north, said their description of inventory is the total number of homes available this month, or right now. They were using it in a sentence like, versus last December, the total number of homes available was lower by 298 units. So just explain the terminology. Make sure your prospects understand what they are.
Well, and to piggyback on your point, if we're talking about inventory, if we could simplify it for the seller, Mr. and Mrs. Seller, that, hey, when you walk into a store, right, you're gonna, here's a retail, here's the sale rack. Where do you want to place your home? You know, is it going to be on the upper end? I mean, inventory. So we need to use their language. So we realize, hey, once we price your home, it will be part of all the inventory that's out there, but we want to get the most attention to your home, right?
Mm-hmm. So what about acronyms? Again, you're not meeting face-to-face with people for a while, so lose the acronyms. People aren't going to understand it, and you're not going to be there to explain it. What about DOM and YOY? Don't assume that people are going to understand what these things are.
Right.
Many consumers don't have a clue as to how aspects in the economy impact the housing market and why the local economy accounts for many of the differences between local and national markets. Now, we love the way that Mountain Oak Properties up in Asheville, North Carolina, a very pretty area, handles this. They have a saying, looking deeper into what is driving this steady improvement nationally and locally, you will find that the Asheville area job growth is outperforming the nation and North Carolina. The report goes into a deeper dive of these statistics presented in the report, what job growth has to do with the real estate market and what the consumer might expect in the future. Now, we all know that we can't predict the market's future performance based on current numbers, and you should explain that. But as the local expert, you can at least take a stab at it. All right,
Makes sense.
number 2.
Makes sense.
Mm-hmm. Tip 2, when writing your market report, don't be too general. Get as specific as you can. If your MLS provides neighborhood-specific statistics, use them because they will allow you to go hyper-local. Determine your target market and focus your reports accordingly. If you're trying to achieve more listings, mention the neighborhoods with the highest price appreciation. Do the opposite if you're trying to attract buyers. All right, moving on. Step number 3. Don't just offer stats and dry copy. Once you have your report written, it's time to get into an easy on the eyes format. Ideally, how about getting a graphic designer involved? Or since everybody's kids is at home like mine are, maybe they know some graphic work from school or whatever. Hopefully
that's a good idea. That's a good idea.
If you want to outsource that, you can look at places like Upwork.com or 99designs.com.
Well, and I talked about this in the pre-meeting that right now that might be a little scary for an agent to spend any money whatsoever. But sites like Upworks and 99 Designs, many of the people on there that have their side hustles going on, there could be somebody that their focus is solely on CMAs, putting together beautifully visual CMAs, and they could have a couple different templates that they've already created. And it's just a matter of them switching up the colors, adding a few different graphics just to make it more personalized to your audience, your particular marketplace. This could be something that's quite affordable because of the fact that they've already got a template in place or a couple different templates in place to choose from. So you don't know until you find out. And there's actually no money involved in going and finding that out, putting a bid out there or putting a job, posting a job on Upworks and finding out who answers and what they're willing to ask for as far as the cost for a visual CMA template for you.
Exactly.
So.
And what I like about what you just said is the following, and we're already seeing it. A lot of agents are restricting right now, right? Mm-hmm. Restricting and sedating probably. But the agents, like you said, it's very cost effective. If the agents can do some stuff, give, have some detailed reports, don't play trickery. You know, it could be listings from your office one week. Have the prices in there. There's no trickery, right? Have some reports that we're talking about. Mix it up and give them a ton of value. So when we wake up from all this stuff, you have the respect and you built great rapport.
Well, and another great thing about actually going to an Upworks or a 99 Designs and putting a bid out there or finding out what it would cost, if it seems like it's semi-affordable, something you could afford right now, remember, once you've done it, you've got it. So this is something you'll be able to use. You know, there's trends in visuals. In other words, you'll see trends in marketing where the graphics slightly change, the colors slightly change. It's kind of like the kitchen in the 70s that had the avocado green refrigerator. There's definitely changes in visuals and graphics and how we provide messaging in marketing. But this is something that you could maybe use for the next 3 years. So a one-time purchase becomes something really valuable. It's really representing you in a professional way, and you're using it over and over and over again. So now something that costs $50, $100, divide it out. What is it costing you? 10 cents, 30 cents, 50 cents each use?
And what I love about this topic for our agents out there is the majority of agents, and we know this, the majority are not thinking this way. They're just simply not thinking this way until they watch or view or listen to this, correct?
All right. Now, what if you have the do-it-yourself mentality and you have some extra help at home, like your kids or your wife or your husband? Why not go over to Canva.com? That is a nice site. It's free. You can create a template on their site, export it, and then upload it to a wonderful site like ProspectsPLUS.com. And we can use that for postcard mailings or print flyers or anything like that. So if you've got somebody who's into computers, hanging out at your house with nothing better to do, you might see if you can enlist their help as well.
Yeah, I think a lot of agents are familiar with Canva. It's a very user-friendly, easy site. Don't be intimidated by it. It's spelled Canva.com, V as in violin. And it's very easy to navigate. Not only can you create marketing materials on there, but they actually have categories. So I'm quite certain that you will find a booklet or a template that already exists on there that you can utilize for a CMA, to create a CMA. And then you just go in, you add a few graphics, change some colors, and you've got something that's more presentable and a little bit more personalized than just pulling something off the MLS and shooting that out there.
Exactly.
All right. So to wrap it up, the name of the game with market reports is reader friendly. And since 65% of us are visual learners, this means using lots of colors and big, bold graphics. These brilliant market reports will help set you apart from the lazy agents. Don't be the lazy agent. Get ahead and do these reports the right way.
And here's what's great. We know that the majority of their competition are the lazy agents. So if they can take this report strategy and make this another dimension of what they do, another dimension, another prospecting system or strategy, we've talked about it numerous times in our podcast, he or she with the most systems in place wins the game. Why? None of it's going to work all the time, but all of it's going to work some of the time, correct?
Well, and we've also spent a lot of time lately talking about, we have, and other resources out there have talked about, what can you do now that you're stuck at home? Let's work on your CRM. Let's work on organizing your email list. This is another area that you can spend some time that maybe at other times you're not going to be able to do this, right? 3 months from now, you may be so busy you can't even look back and do something like this. But what a great time to sit down and say, what is it I want to say in this report? What is my overall intention putting this report together? What's the message I want to give people about who I am, how I do business, and how I will represent them? And this is the time to do that right now. Get on Canva. If you don't want to go to Upworks, or that you want to keep that money held closely, which I understand, we all are in that same place right now, and spend some time and put something together that you'll feel proud of, that you can use for months and years to come.
Well said, well said.
Well said. And don't forget our website, takealistingtoday.com, where you can view our topics for upcoming episodes. And once we get back in the studio, we'll take some phone calls again and give away some cool stuff. But we just don't have the technology to do that while we're all remote. So
exactly.
Here we are. Thank you for joining us. Stay safe out there, and we'll catch you next time.
Thank you, guys. Stay strong.
Bye.